What's good, family? So I've been sitting around thinking after a couple of conversations I had with Rochelle, and I recognize that I need to be more intentional about actually putting my thoughts on camera. I do a lot of talking, a lot of teaching, a lot of explaining, a lot of coaching, counseling that happens off camera, behind the scenes that a lot of people don't get to see. And I realized that I probably shortchanged a few people who got used to hearing my voice online, who got used to being able to access me because they were further away than they could, that would allow them to physically be in my presence more often, or whatever the case may be. And so this is an attempt for me to be better at doing just that, providing value beyond, a personal experience, but you being in my personal presence or having my phone number or DMing me or whatever the case may be. So if you haven't already, make sure you follow my Instagram, make sure you follow the YouTube and the Facebook. All the links will be down here somewhere, either on the screen or in the caption, bio, wherever, description, wherever that stuff goes, right? So with that being said, I was having this thought. I was listening to a couple of the outlets that I pay attention to so I can make sure that I'm feeding myself, mentally, that type of thing. And I started having this thought about leadership and why leadership is not only important, but why it's desirable and where that stemmed for me. And I realized that a lot of the difficulties that I face now in leadership are because I'm having to unlearn some of my root desires for why I even got into leadership. I heard the question be asked of someone on a podcast, what's the earliest memory that you have of recognizing a leadership quality or ability in your life? And the person began to talk about when they were 10 years old and they were offered the opportunity to make an illustration in a Sunday school class. And it immediately made me think about my early days, my early memories of church. And for a lot of you, that church was the first platform that I pretty much had to express myself as a speaker, as a leader, as a teacher. Before I even had any of those titles, I was a little kid who could quote scripture. I did, my Easter speech well. I did all of these things well. And so because of it, I was applauded. And I think because of the framework that I saw men be rewarded or be applauded in church, I desired to be a leader because what I really desired was affirmation from others versus me being a conduit for people to grow. I didn't really understand what was happening from the act of leadership that I was seeing, that these men of God who were teaching, preaching, praying, supporting a community that we call church. That community may be your school, maybe your classroom, your football team. It may be the job that you work on. It may be a community organization, a fraternity, a sorority, whatever the organizations that you're a part of. Being a leader in that organization isn't so much about being personally affirmed, but putting to action the things necessary to allow people to grow to their best selves. That wasn't my impetus for desiring leadership. The root of why I ever wanted to be a leader was because I desired to be affirmed. And I recognized that as a young man in the particular space I was in, if I spoke well, if I taught well, if I could show up and I knew the most, these things would get me applauded. They would give me a certificate. They would give me a ribbon. They would get me highlighted in the announcements. And as a young boy, we seek affirmation because we want to make sure that we measure up to whatever standard of manhood that we see put before us. That's just something that's innate about men. We measure everything, right? By some metric or another, we measure everything, right? That's why rulers and tape measures and yardsticks are so important to us. That's why football fields have lines. That's why basketball courts have a half court mark, and we score by 1 point, 2 point, or 3 points, right? This is why we keep up with everything. There's always a stat because men measure things. We measure things to know, are we accomplishing things? And for me, my measurement at the time was how much was I being applauded? How many times could I get the accolade? And I recognized that I could get these affirmations more if I was in leadership positions. However, leading isn't for affirmation. You say that again. Leading wasn't created for affirmation. Leading was created so that you could be a sacrificial conduit for other people to succeed. The best leaders that ever lived, we probably don't know their names because the people they supported got the accolade, not them. I realized that, and I realized I had to share this with you guys. If you're leading for accolade, if you're leading for affirmation, you're leading yourself and you're leading others potentially to a place of failure and to a very scary place, because when they stop clapping, when the likes start to decrease, when the followers start to unfollow, and you're no longer being affirmed, will you still lead? I've had to face this. I struggle with it. And for a lot of reasons beyond that, it caused me to kill the momentum that I had in some areas that could have possibly led to big changes in my life, because I was leading for the wrong reasons. I got out in front for the wrong reason. I didn't get out in front to clear the way for others. I got out in front so it could be clear that I was the one who got the applause. I got out in front for the wrong reason. So I hope that you can learn from my mistake. I hope that you can learn from this catastrophic misunderstanding that I had as a young man that followed me into my adulthood. I hope that this helps you become a better leader. I hope this helps you become a more effective leader. I hope this helps you become someone who has a true heart of leadership. If it does, let me know in the comments, and we'll talk about it. We'll build from here. Make sure you log in, you tap in with me on all social medias, man. We'll make sure that we build each other and become better leaders brick by brick. And until next time, I love you.